Hi everyone, welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a match preview for Newcastle United's upcoming game against Brighton this weekend at a 5:30 kickoff down at the AMEX Stadium. So after the back of that sickening defeat against Liverpool, Newcastle United are hoping to bounce back in winning ways before the international break. Brighton will be looking to do the same as well. They had a surprise defeat against West Ham last week, which nobody really expected them to experience. So it should make for a very good game. Two very good sides play really good football. Under two very good, young, exciting managers. So we're going to get stuck into it, have a look about how we're going to line up, look at some of the stats, and I'm going to give you my opinion on how I think the game is going to go. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you're new to the channel and you haven't checked us out before, smash that button, come and subscribe. We're over 5,000 subscribers now, so massive thank you to everyone who's done that already. But there's loads more room for you if you're just watching for the first time. Loads of content here. We've got the live show every Monday night at 10 p.m. We've also got pop-up videos just like this preview you got to watch. So why not give us a go? You know, it's great Newcastle United content. So what we're going to do then about this game at the weekend. So it's very difficult to say this as a Newcastle fan, and we're probably not even used to this for a long time. Actually, this used to be the norm, to be honest with you. But we're coming off the back of two defeats, two very different defeats. I think the Manchester City defeat, we were very much, I think, in that game for a long period of time, even though City were a little bit below par. I think we could have left that with a draw, but the Liverpool defeat really was a kick in the balls. It really was. We were in front for so long, and then just a crazy 10, 12 minutes or something just cost us the game. We seem to take our foot off the throat. We stopped putting the pressure on. And I think actually subbing Anthony Gordon off was probably the turning point of the game, really. So in terms of how I think we're going to line up against Brighton, this is what I've gone for here. Now, it's a big call, this one. A couple of big calls in the lineup, as you can see. I'm going to start at the forward line. The time has come, in my opinion, for Miggy Almiron to take a seat on the bench. A lot of people love Miggy, certainly Eddie Howe, his energy. You know, he's up and down like a Duracell bunny, but the end product is often lacking now. I know he was unlucky against Liverpool, you know, an absolute world-class save from Alisson to tip it onto the bar, and then that ridiculous run that hit the post. Could have been a total different story for Almiron. He could have scored, you know, 2 goals and won us the game and been the hero of the week, really. But that isn't what happened. Almiron seems to do the difficult stuff easy and the easy stuff very difficultly. So I think the time has come for Miggy to have a little sit down, and I think it's time to put Barnes and Gordon into the same side. Now, what I've done there is I've moved Gordon over to the right-hand side. I think Anthony Gordon can play right across the front three. He tortured Trent Alexander-Arnold at the weekend, and I really do think that he could give Brighton some real problems as well at the back there, you know, against obviously the likes of Webster and Dunk and Milner as well, you know, who kind of fills in a full-back role as well at times. I think Gordon could absolutely terrify them. His pace is blistering, and he started the season like a house on fire, and he really is key for us. Obviously, Isak through the middle, he didn't get much change against Liverpool. The only time we slipped him through, Van Dijk had to half him to get sent off to stop him from scoring, and Harvey Barnes, I think we've seen cameos from him that shows he can get into great positions. He should have squared it last week for Wilton, no fairness, but I think it's time to give Barnes a start. So that's the front three I've gone for. The midfield three I've left the same, even though there's some pressure, I think, around Bruno to maybe give us a big performance. I don't think Bruno will be hooked. I think he's vital to this side. So I think we'll see those three midfield dynamos in there, but he is, you know, he has to perform. You know, you got the likes of Elliot Anderson chopping at the heels, Sean Longstaff's getting closer to fitness. You know, Joe Willock will be back soon as well. So, and I'm wondering where Louis Miley is. I hope he makes the bench this weekend, because I think we need another option for Bruno if he does start to have a little bit of a shitter. But the back four as well, I've made some changes. So there is positive news about Sven Boitman. Apparently his injury was nowhere near as bad as we thought it was going to be, so it's just really bad bruising. But I'm not sure that they'll risk him for this game. I think they might give him some time to recover. Now Lewis Hall is in the picture. I'm sure, you know, Lewis is getting a bit more up to speed in terms of training and stuff like that. Dan Burn can slip in and play that left side centre back, which is his natural position anyway. So I've gone for that, for Dan Burn to be centre half against his old team, with Lewis Hall coming in at left back, and I'm really excited about that. I think Lewis Hall would give us a total different dynamic to what Dan Burn gives us. You know, he can get forward. He's got a wand of a left peg to whip crosses in. I think he would overlap Barnes, and then Barnes and Joe Linton can maybe fill in for him as well when he's in that attacking berth. And it gives us more of a chance to deviate the play from just going through Kieran Trippier all the time. Weirdly enough, last week we were down the left-hand side, more because Gordon smelt blood with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think Gordon will do that in this game as well. He'll look for weaknesses. If it is Milner and he thinks his legs are tired, he'll run at him and he'll absolutely batter him. That's what I love about Gordon. He's ruthless. He sees an opportunity and a weakness and he goes for it. Obviously, we've got Trips in there. Right back, just off where winning a place in the PFA Player of the Team or the Player of the Year awards as well. So Team of the Year. So Trips will be bouncing as well going into this game. So I'm hoping for just another steady Trippier performance. In terms of Brighton, in terms of where they're going to play, obviously, I'm just looking at the Sportsmo kind of expected lineup there. So they've gone for Steele and goal, James Milner filling in at fullback, Webster and Donko, a really good centre-back pair, to be fair, but the more kind of traditional centre-halves that like to deal with the big rough and tumble. Isak is a different proposition altogether. Pace, movement, trickery. I've called him the ghost before, the haunt centre-half. They will have a tough game against Alexander Isak. And if that's our front three, the pace and movement of all three of them who can interchange at the positions and they're all goal threats. I think it'll be a tough day at the office for the Brighton centre-halves there. Then we've got Estepan, Gross, Billy Gilmore, Solly March, Pedro, Mitoma and Welbeck. I don't know whether new loanee Fatty will be on the bench. I mean, that's an unbelievable bit of business by Brighton. It really is. And I'm actually very interested to see how Fatty does. Hopefully he doesn't come on and cause any bother for us at the weekend, really. But the game is a tricky one. We're going to look at some stats in a minute, but just to talk a little bit about the game. We have played well against City and Liverpool for large periods of the game. The Liverpool one, I'm still struggling to come to terms with how we threw it away. It's almost like that game management. We've just come off the back of seeing the draw that we've got in the Champions League, the group of death. We'll have to learn how to manage games better against big teams like that. Liverpool were below par. I don't think they were great at all. They were effective. I'll give them that. Jurgen Klopp's substitutions did change the game, but so did Eddie Howe's. The substitutions that he made were ill-timed and probably all too quickly. Now, I'm not Eddie Howe, I'm not the sports science guys. They know when the players need to come off. And to be fair to Gordon, he ran himself into the ground, to be fair. So maybe they wanted to protect him for this Brighton game. And he may have a longer spell on the pitch than he did against Liverpool. But it seems to be the subs are pre-set and predetermined. But I think if there's a bit of a change around, if Barnes is in from the start, and Hall comes in, and Byrne goes to centre-half, then there's a few changes there already. So maybe the substitutions will be slightly different as well. But we do have a lot of quality in the squad and pace to get in behind Brighton there. They do play a really fantastic brand of football. It's quick pace, it's great passing, it's transitions through the lines. But they can be got at the back. I think that Webster and Dunk are two good centre-halves. But, against pace, you can cause some trouble. I mean, we saw West Ham get in behind last week. James Ward-Prowse dictating the pace. What a signing he's been, by the way. And Antonio getting in there. Antonio is fairly quick, but he's not as quick as Isak. So, there is opportunities for us to get in there and opportunities for us to exploit that Brighton back four. But one thing's for sure, Eddie will be wanting a performance from the lads, and I'm pretty sure that we'll have them revved up for this game, but it's not going to be easy. So let's have a look at some of the stats here before we give you our prediction on the score. So this is the head-to-head. The last 10 meetings at Brighton in all competitions. Newcastle 1 win, Brighton 4 wins, as you can see there. So some of the key stats as well. Having failed to win any of the first 9 Premier League matches against Brighton, Newcastle are actually unbeaten in the last 3, and we beat them 4-1 at St James's Park back in May, as you remember. Now, Newcastle have conceded in the last 15 away matches in a row. However, Newcastle have not lost 15 of the last 17 away matches. So that's testament to that back four and Nick Pope as well. Again, we talked about him in the preview there, and look at the lineup. Anthony Gordon is definitely key for us this season. I think he's been superb, and I think he's only going to get better and better as the season goes on. Anthony Gordon's been involved in 3 goals in the last 4 top-flight appearances, haven't not scored or assisted in his previous 20. So you can see the change there. You can see what this under-21 tournament has done for the lads' confidence, and there's a real player in there. At a 40 million quid, looks like we've got a bargain now, to be honest with you. Now, this might surprise some people, given the fact we've lost 2 games, maybe non-Newcastle fans, but Newcastle are the most accurate shooters in the Premier League this season. So we've got 48% of our goal attempts, which is 22 out of 46 being on target. So it shows you the chances of being creative, but just not really taking them, I think. Maybe you hit them too close to the keeper. I mean, the Almiron one against Alisson, you've got to hold your hands up and say amazing save, really. So some of the key Brighton stats. Brighton have not lost 2 consecutive matches since Roberto de Zerbi's second and third game in charge of the club last October. He has been a revelation for that team. He really has. Off the back of Potter, you didn't think he was going to be able to replicate what he's done, but my word, fantastic management. It really is. This is 2 of the best, brightest managers in the Premier League going head-to-head, in my opinion. They may not be the media darlings, but they're fantastic, young, exciting managers who set their teams up to play great football. So for the neutral, I think this game will be an absolute cracker. But Brighton have had the most shots, 68 shots on target, and 30 touches in the opposition box, 159, and accumulated the most XG of 7.7 in the Premier League so far this season. So these are no mugs. This is going to be a really, really tough game for Newcastle United. Make no mistake about that. So how do I think this is going to go? Now, I could go mad and drink the Kool-Aid and tell you we're going to beat them 3-1 and bounce back and go into national break and everything else. But I just think it's going to be a really tough game. I think it's 2 really good teams. I think we'll cancel each other out quite a lot. I mean, again, we always talk about that midfield battle. I think the midfield battle is key. I think if you're looking at their midfield versus ours, you've got Gross, Gilmore and Marsh in there, against obviously Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno. Now we've got the power, I think, but Gilmore's a very technically very good little player. Gets in the ball, makes things happen, picks up little pockets of space, and he's a good passer. March has got an engine on him all day long as well. And Gross is a real steady player who's also a goal threat. So they're no mugs. But I think power-wise in midfield, we've got more power, but we need the 3 of them to step up and stand up and give us a performance. I think Tonali and Joe Linton were brilliant against Liverpool. Bruno was in and out. At times he was fantastic, but obviously gives the ball away for the winning goal in the end by trying to make a stupid Hollywood pass. So he does have those moments in Bruno, and again with nobody on the bench to maybe put pressure on him or to bring on like a Louis Miley to kill the game and just calm it down. We could obviously lose points in that moment, but we're due a big performance from Bruno, and I hope it's going to be one this weekend. But in terms of my prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. That might sound like I'm sitting on the fence with splinters in the arse, but I just think both teams look at a bounce back after that defeat. I think a draw is probably going to be a fair result going into the international break. And when you're looking at them first 4 games, you're talking about Aston Villa, who everyone said they're going to be up there for Champions League spaces. Manchester City, arguably the best team in the world. Liverpool, still one of the best teams in the Premier League, even though they had a horrible season last season. And Brighton, who started the season like a house on fire. If you'd offered us 4 points out of those 4 games at the start of the season, I think we probably would have took it, in all fairness. So I'm going to go for a 1s each draw here and taking us to 4 points for the international break. And I think that's a good starting point to maybe come back and try and readdress the kind of fixtures and look and see where we can pick up some points. And there is some winnable games coming over the hill, I think. Newcastle can get back onto that winning streak as well, and they've got the Champions League coming as well, which is a real exciting prospect with some of these massive games coming as well. Whether you watch it like that or whether you're excited about it happening, let us know in the comments below. But let us know what you guys think as well about the result. Do you think I'm fair? Do you think it's going to be 1s each? Do you think we're going to batter them? Am I being too negative? Am I being too pragmatic? I don't know. Who knows these days? We don't vilify anybody for having a difference of opinion in the comments. That's entirely up to you. If you're optimistic, pessimistic, or pragmatic, whatever you want to be, it's all welcome in the comments. And we always do our best to try and reply to you as well. As I mentioned at the start, if you haven't subscribed, smash a subscribe, come and join us. Loads of room for you and evermore. We're over 5,000 subs now. Smash a like on the video too. It really helps the channel grow. I'll be back with a post-match review for the Brighton game, which hopefully we have got 3 points on, but I will settle for a point given the fact we'll just come off the back of 2 defeats. Have a cracking weekend, everybody. Enjoy the game, and I'll see you later. Cheers.